All right, welcome back. Today we're jumping into an absolutely epic story of strategy, faith, and a major power clash. We've got a desperate strategist, a radiant queen, and a king who thinks he's a god, right up until he finds himself under siege by a power he can't even see. So, let's meet our key players, starting with Abram. Now, he's not just some wanderer. He's a calculating survivor. The sources tell us he's lean, athletic, with these sharp, observant eyes. He just carries himself with this quiet intensity, like a man who is absolutely certain he's destined for something bigger. And then we have Sarai. Her beauty isn't just on the surface. It's described as, serene, luminous, dignified. But don't let that fool you. Underneath all that is an unshakable strength, a quiet resolve that comes from a deep faith, a faith that's about to be tested to its absolute limit. And finally, rounding out our trio, the brilliant young pharaoh. This is no aging tyrant. He's sharp, analytical, and apparently rose to power through pure intellect. Yeah, he's decked out in fine linen and gold, but his real power, it's his mind, a mind that measures every single angle. He truly believes he's in control of his world. He's about to get a rude awakening.
So how does this all kick off? Well, it doesn't start with a choice. It starts with a crisis. A full-blown catastrophe forces our characters out of their comfort zone and onto a dangerous path, where clever plans might not be enough to survive.
Let's set the stage a bit. After years of moving around, Abram finally settles in a newly built Hebron. But then, disaster strikes. A devastating famine hits the land of Canaan. There's no other option. Abram has to lead his entire company south, into the powerful and, for them, completely unknown territory of Egypt. And they're going to be there for 5 years. As they get close to the border, Abram's fear just takes over. He knows Sarai's beauty is going to turn heads, and in a place like this, that kind of attention could easily get him killed. So he comes up with a plan, a strategy rooted not in faith, but in pure fear. A human plan, all centered on one critical lie. Okay, so this is the crucial point. Abram's entire strategy is built on hiding the truth, on deception. But as we're about to see, when a clever human plan smacks up against the unyielding reality of a king's power, things tend to fall apart, and fast. And Abram doesn't just stop with a simple verbal lie. Oh, no. His fear is escalating. He commands not just Sarai, but his entire family to stick to the story. And then, still not feeling safe, he takes one last desperate step. He physically hides his wife inside a chest, buried among all their stuff. But the plan fails. Instantly. At the city gates, the royal officers spot this unusual chest and they get suspicious. Abram tries to buy his way out of it, offering them anything they want, but they're not having it. They demand to see what's inside for the king's tithe. In this moment, it's a total catastrophe for Abram's plan. They force the chest open, and the very thing he tried so desperately to hide is now out in the open for everyone to see. And her beauty, the very source of his fear, just stuns them all. And this just perfectly illustrates the central conflict, doesn't it? Abram's complex little plan of deception has just been completely shattered by the simple authority of the king. His strategy is worthless now. It's a pretty stark reminder that even the best laid plans can be undone in a heartbeat. Okay, now we're going to see how this human-level crisis explodes into a full-on supernatural confrontation. This story isn't about Abram's plan anymore. It's about a battle for control happening inside the king's own palace. So word of Sarai's beauty flies straight to Pharaoh, and she's immediately taken into the royal house. While Pharaoh is celebrating, Abram is left completely powerless and just distraught. His plan failed, his wife is gone, and the only move he has left is to pray. But here's the thing. Sarai is not some passive victim in all of this. Inside that palace, she's praying too. She calls on God directly, reminding him of the promise he made to Abram and demanding to be saved from this oppressor. Her faith becomes her weapon now that every other strategy is off the table. And the response is immediate, and it's terrifying. Some unseen force intervenes. When the king gets close to Sarai, an angel of the Lord strikes him down hard. He recoils, totally confused and scared, with no idea what just hit him. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. The assault is relentless. Every single time Pharaoh tries to approach her, he gets struck down again. And then it spreads. The attack hits his servants, his family, his entire household, filling the palace with mourning and absolute terror. Pharaoh is terrified, he's confused, so he does what powerful men do. He tries to throw money at the problem. Believing Abram is just Sarai's brother, he starts showering him with incredible wealth, hoping to somehow appease whatever invisible power is attacking him.
But the gifts? They do nothing. In fact, the plagues just get worse. And it's in that moment of escalating horror that the brilliant analytical king finally gets it. He is under a divine attack, and the cause is the woman he brought into his court. And he trembles. So the siege is over, but now comes the reckoning. The supernatural assault has forced a crisis, and the only way out is for the truth that was so carefully hidden, to finally come out into the light. Pharaoh goes straight to Sarai, and she confesses everything. She tells him the truth. Abram is her husband, and the whole lie was because they were afraid. Her honesty, standing in such stark contrast to the original deception, is what finally changes everything.
And the effect is instantaneous. The second the truth is spoken, the divine judgment just stops. The plagues are gone. And for Pharaoh, this confirms, beyond any doubt, exactly what caused all his suffering. Turns out, the truth was the key. At dawn, a terrified Pharaoh calls for Abram. But this isn't a trial. There's no punishment. It's an ultimatum, and it's born from pure terror. He doesn't want justice. He just wants them gone. Here's your wife, he says. Take her and leave before we all die because of her. And in one final, stunning admission of who really holds the power here, Pharaoh gives his own daughter, Hagar, to Sarai. Just think about that. He tells his own child it's better to be a servant in Abram's house than a queen in his. That is the ultimate admission of defeat.
So, Abram and Sarai returned safely, and now they're incredibly wealthy. Even though his plan of fear failed spectacularly, he still came out ahead. But the story leaves us with this lingering question. His deception put Sarai in danger and brought an entire nation to its knees. So, when fear is your strategist, who really pays the price?